Hello. It's part two, or part one, depending on how you look at it. The previous video showed character creation, very random character creation, and the person that we have is Dianys, and she is a satyr. She is also fun loving and needs to keep joyful, but at the same time, she also has to utilize her scholarship, not her magic, but her scholarship, to be able to navigate the breach. And so, if you want to find out any details about character creation or the character that I'm playing, there's a previous video, and of course, there's stuff that will come up on the screen as we progress. Well, we're jumping in 2 feet. Let's start. The nameless chapel stands at the edge of Deep Fall Breach. The mortared stones of the structure have stood fast against time, wind, and calamity. But its stained glass windows lie scattered in shards, and the heavy oaken doors hang loose and creaking on ancient hinges. Dianys is caught amid a torrential rain, and so she slips inside, eager to escape both the downpour and the baleful red glow emanating from the depths of the breach. Inside, the chapel casts a shadow of itself, rotting pews, piles of refuse, tattered tapestries depicting battles long forgotten. Candles lend their meager glow in flickering clusters, while fragrant smoke curls from incense burners. Maze-like etchings litter a large desk occupying the far wall. Maddening, aren't they? The gruff, weathered voice precedes a haunched form dislodging itself from the shadows. Silver streaks, the coal-black fur of a wolfkin draped in ratty robes. He leans on a wicked-looking two-handed mace topped with a clenched steel fist. Numerous scars mark the wolfkin's lupine visage, with a stone sphere replacing his left eye. The breach, he continues, nodding toward the desk, littered with labyrinthine maps. Impossible to map any accuracy. I am stone gaze. Engulfer, if you will. And Dianys remembers the name. He was a fearsome warrior, a famed hunter of demons. He isn't a hermit priest. Have you come to delve the breach? There's good to be done, justice to be dealt, and riches to be uncovered. Do you have the metal for it? Dianys returns the glare. I'm looking for books. I'm in search of more knowledge, and I'm not going to get it if I don't try and go. The wolfkin stares back, shakes his head. I'm not convinced. A satyr, alone, delving into the breach, doesn't sound too wise to me. Where are your companions? Well, I don't have companions at the moment, but I'm sure I will along the route. And that's, I'm sure, how it will go. Your optimism, my dear, is misplaced. This is the breach. But there are tomes and lessons to be learned, and I need to continue. Young woman, what do people call you? Well, they call me Dusklan. What? They call you what? Dusk, dust, dust lung, dust lung. You're a satyr. You enjoy the fun of life, the abundance of everything. And you're here in the breach, on your own. You are quite silly. It was not a place for you. It will be a place for me. I am not a dust lung, as they call me. I am inquisitive, and I will learn, and I can hold my own. And I'm sure that I will keep my my positive attitude going. Well, I will not be joining you. You will be on your own. There are tasks. There are tasks that need to occur. A stone gaze looks around at his desk with the maze and everything around it. He says, you're into the breach to look for books. Well, into the breach, eh? Well, there's the vault of many paths, and there are a lot of confounding passages. You will need your intelligence for this. You'll have to steel yourself against all these perils to come. And he points down at a number of different kind of options, and Dianys kind of leans over and looks and kind of offers him some wine, and this is not the time for this. No, it's always the time for wine, she says. And she takes a big glug of wine and it's from her skin, and she says, here, enjoy. This is such a dark place. You need to cheer it up. You need to clean up. He just shakes his head. As he's looking around at the various passageways that he believes lead to a library or something like that, he says that there's a problem that I have heard of, and possibly you can help. What was your Dianys? Dianys. There's a situation. There are a number of goblins that are not that far down into the breach. They have captured an orc that may be of help. An orc? Yeah, an orc. They've captured this orc, and you may find him to be of assistance along the way. Well, I don't much like orcs. I haven't heard any good things about orcs. Well, I've heard nothing but frivolity and stupidity from my tales of satyrs. Does that define you? Well, no. well, then don't cast aspersions on others before you meet them. And she has kind of a sheepish look, and she looks down and looks at the drawing as if she's studying it. He says there's a leader of a sect of demon cultists. There's a shard. It's called the World Breaker. It's a tip of a spear, an abyssal spear. It is it split the land that created the breach. This power cannot stay in the cultists' hands. These goblins have captured this orc Gorum. He knows the location of the cultists, and the cultists will have books. But there is a bigger mission, and that is taking care of the cultists. You will need help along the way. But we'll see about that. I'll find this Gorum. I'll help him out if he's a good orc. And the goblins? Are they good goblins? Don't be sarcastic. Go. This is the route. Follow it along. Hopefully you will find what you need to find. And so she sets off on her adventure. She's going to head her way down, and we'll see what's in the area. So there's a burrowed tunnel that she starts making her way down. And she's going to use her awareness, and she's going to try to see and hear if there's any sounds. And she fails. She doesn't exactly hear anything. She's listening and trying to discern, what's going on. She's trying to hear as she's moving through this tunnel, and then she moves slowly down, and she's kind of cramped. Her horns are kind of awkward in this tighter space, and it opens up into a twisting passage. And then as she goes in the twisting passage, she's looking around, and because I failed my awareness as a mark of rules. The rules are that I failed in awareness, and so I mark. Not going to do it. I mark awareness as being failed, and so I will get an opportunity to raise that later on. So she's now in this passage, or this twisting passage, and now this passage is much larger, and she's again moving around it, and she's trying to figure out kind of what's going on. She's got her torch in one hand, and she's lit it. She's holding it, and she has her staff in the other. And so she's got a torch in her left hand, her staff in her right hand, and she's moving around trying to gauge what's going on in this area. And of course, we're going to consult the subtables, and I think what we'll do is Dianys is going to see if what the environment is like. And the environment is that there are webs. And she's starting to get nervous. Again, she wants to look around, and she wants to see if there's anything. So she's gonna use her awareness again and see if she can sense any spiders. She gets a 5. And for her, a 5 is very helpful. So she's used her awareness, and she's determining whether or not there's something there. Well, if we look at the initial, I believe, tables, and just go back to the fortune chart, what are the chances of her actually like, she succeeded, certainly. Is there anything there? And I'm going to say that it's probably just a 50-50. 2. There's nothing there. And so she continues to move through these web passages extremely cautiously. She's going through and worried about what's going on, what's going to happen next. And she continues. As she continues, she's gonna roll on this inspiration table. And so it's a 20-sided dice, and I think what she's going to do is she's going to be looking for maybe an attribute to help out define this area. 4. So a 4 is that she's come across a blockage in the passage, and she's going to need to use her strength to kind of push her way and break this. So, is there anything in the skills that might help us? So, if we look at the skills and we see what Dianys has, I can roll straight strength, and it's not an acrobatics. It's certainly not crafting. So I think I'm just going to roll straight strength for her, and let's see. She's going to try to break it down. And is she going to use her horns? No, she's not. I think she's going to use her the back end of the staff and smash at it. And she gets a 15. She fails the roll. Dianys is frustrated. She's failed to break this rock blockage. It looks as if something has fallen down. And so she tried to break through, and she couldn't. Now she's thinking to herself, well, my strength isn't... I can't break through it. She takes a swig of her wine, and she's looking around, and She's going to try to spot hidden. She's not very good at it, as you can see. She's trying to spot hidden, and she's looking around to see if there might be there might be something loose, maybe a secret door or something. And so she's going to be looking around to see if there's something hidden that she might have missed. Ooh. She looks around. She doesn't see a thing. And so, like before, I marked this spot hidden. And so she's looking, and she's trying to figure out, how can I get myself out of this mess? Is she going to have to backtrack? She wonders. If she looks behind her, she sees the webs. She's aware that there's nothing here at the moment. No, she can't go back. She can't go back. She needs to think to herself, is there something else that I am missing? And so she's going to do another awareness, and she's going to try to see. She's not looking for something hidden. Now she's looking for a different type of option. She's looking around and thinking, maybe instead of breaking this kind of rock collapse in, maybe there's a particular rock that she can maybe remove with her strength. She doesn't see anything in particular, but she's certainly going to try to just grab a random rock and pull it to see if that helps. And she's going to go as high up as she can, maybe balancing a bit, and she's going to try to pull out one of the upper rocks with her strength. So we're going to roll her strength, which is 11. And she gets a major fail. So, let's see what happens now. So, you can see that a demon was rolled, because that is a D&D dice, and so that is a 20. And so we're going to roll a 6-sided dice on this dragon and demon effects, and we're going to see what's happened. 1, an important item is lost or broken. Well, she has flint and tinder, food, sleeping pelt, torch, notebook, quill, and ink. And she has her staff and her sling. Well, she wasn't using her staff. Her sling is kind of around her belt. And so I'm going to say that probably it's her sling. And I'm going to give myself I'm going to use 2 dice. And I'm going to take the higher of the 2, meaning that it may be closer to a yes. So we're scaling up here, and so let's see if she loses her sling. And there's a 5, and a 5 is a yes, and so she's lost her sling, but she doesn't realize it. She hasn't been able to get this thing out. She's thinking about trying again to kind of pull out another stone and see if she can pass, but she was balancing, wasn't she? And so Dianys is there, and she's pulled this with her legs spread out. She's holding herself up, and she pulls this out. Let's see if she can make an acrobatics check. This is not good. She is not very good at this aspect of things. Acrobatics is the first of the skills. She got a 7. She falls. She falls prone on the ground. And as she falls prone, she looks up. I'm going to give her another awareness check. She's fallen down. And you know what? I'm going to say that she's taken a point of damage. There we go. So, she's taken a point of damage. And she's down on the ground. And she looks up into the webs. And she sees that as she's been meandering, that possibly she's been going down. And she looks past the webs. And does she see something with awareness? She gets another 20. She's looking up. And she misses something. There's a spider. And it's coming through a hole that's beyond the glistening webs above her. So yes, there is a way to escape. The problem is that a spider is coming down on her. So she sees a spider. It looks like it's a baby spider, a baby giant spider, or maybe an adolescent spider, but it's still pretty grim. And so the bestiary gives us what we're up against. I'm going to half everything so that I make it a little a little happier. So, here we are. Balance that out. All right. Initiative cards. I'm going to shuffle up these initiative cards. And let's see what I pull out. So, for Daenerys, she gets an 8. And the spider gets a 7. No 2 attacks, 1 attack. So, the spider is going to attack, and so the spider is attacking first. And we'll see if we can get these numbers at least somewhat visible. So, the spider's attacking with a 7. So, we are going to see what it attacks with. Is she going to try to parry? No. 4. Poison Sting. The 8-legged horror raises its rear end and attacks its victim with a poisonous stinger that shoots out of its repulsive body. The attack inflicts D10 piercing damage, and a victim who sustains at least 1 point of damage is also injected with a paralytic poison with potency 16. The attack can be parried. She sees it coming down. She decides to parry. So, she's going to try. She's going to try to parry this because she sees the type of attack, and this is solo play. So you need to use your imagination. So, spider's coming down. Got its butt out. It's going to do damage. It's going to do damage, and got my D10. And so, she's going to try to parry this. Well, she does not parry. It inflicts 6 points of damage. Dianys is having a terrible time. She's starting to reflect on the words of the Wolfkin and think to herself, this was not smart. The paralytic poison. Well, she's injected with the paralytic poison with a potency of 16. I think that what we're going to do is we're going to give it a chance that it did damage. But perhaps in this case, we're going to give her a chance, a 50-50 chance of not being paralyzed, or at least not being immediately paralyzed. So the first thing is, it is a baby spider, so I'm going to do 2 dice, taking the highest with a yes/no answer. 5. So yes, she's okay for the moment, but the poison is within her. But she doesn't have long before it's going to take effect. So she now realizes that this is absolutely terrible. She recognizes how serious this is. And she's now moving in a way that's going to attack and hit the underbelly of the snake to do damage, but also to push it away from her. And so we go back to the initiative cards. Now, one of the things that she didn't get was that extra card. And so I'm going to say that she can attack right away because of her heroic ability, Army of One. So she is going to try to attack. So she gets her staff with both of her hands, and she's able to reach it. And she's going to do a D8. And she gets a D4 because of her agility. So I'm just going to bring back the sheet so that you can see it. So let's see what happens. So first of all, she's going to try to hit. There's no armor. And she needs a 12 for her staff or stave. And she gets a 7. So she hits it. And she hits it with all of her might. She knows that she's in grave danger. And she sticks it right up. She gets 5 points of damage on this horrific thing. It is now not happy. It's gone down and it's still fine, but this is not good. We shuffle up our cards again to see. Dianys gets a 5, a 6, and the spider gets a 4. The spider, aggravated, looks at her with its multiple eyes and comes down again. It does another poison attack. This time, she thinks about it. Dianys is like, I've got to move out of the way, and she tries to evade the roll, or evade the poison stinger. She gets a 13. It's not good enough. With all of her might, she's going to push her roll, and she's going to take a condition of exhausted because she's using her strength. So she's using her strength. She gets the condition exhausted, but she's going to try to force her way to evade. And she does. She moves with all of her strength, pushing herself out of the way of the attack. And the spider now is right in front of her. She now, with her staff, comes over and smashes it on the head. She gets an 11. She hits. And her damage, as she smashes into its head, is a 7. It's definitely now in trouble. The ichor coming out of its head is coming down, and its fangs and mandibles are opening up. The whole web, her spinner is getting ready to kind of bring the monster up and then back down. But she takes, as she's going across, she now comes back with a backswing for her second attack. She rolls an 8. She hits again. With all of her might and every ounce of her agility, she smashes it across the already damaged head and gets an 8. This spider, who has been quite a nemesis, which I said was going to be half, took a hit of 5, then took a hit of 6, and then took a hit of 8. The spider flops on top of her, and she pushes it away, exhausted, off of her. She feels the poison starting to paralyze her, and she starts to cramp up. And that's where we'll leave it for today. Stay tuned.